This is Byron and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 192 of The Real Word.
Word is up.
We're going all around the world today. We've got a CNBC article in China. We're going back to the States in Florida. And then Nicole has an odd but interesting Marketeer of the week for everybody. All right. If you enjoy this content, please encourage you to share it, and please consider subscribing on YouTube. Let's get into Racket number one. Nicole, we're going global. China's embattled developer Evergrande is on the brink of default. So here's what happened. This is the largest developer of real estate in all of China. And they are, if you read the article, they are involved in like every single business. I mean, this is a enormous company. They're involved in healthcare services, consumer products, video and television production, a theme park. They're like involved in all kinds of different industries.
What's so funny though, so I swear I've heard about this Evergrande, regardless of the company. Like, have you ever seen, like, it's been on 60 Minutes, like 2020, there are these like cities that are built in China.
Oh, they just did it. Show the clip.
Unoccupied.
No. Show the clip of the one from 2 weeks ago, Bobby. We'll get the clip and just show it right now. Like 2 or 3 weeks ago, they literally demolished 15 high rises that went vacant for 8 years. It's just 15 high rises.
But people own, like, there's malls that are built. Like, it's the craziest, weirdest shit ever. Like, and people though own like the condos in these buildings, in these cities that are completely empty.
Well, in this case, in the article talks about property owners who have bought it from Evergrande, from this developer, are protesting right now because they know that this developer is about to go under. And because of your point, they went oversupply all over China. And Mark Williams, Capital Economics chief Asia economist, says Evergrande's collapse would be the biggest test that China's financial system has faced in years. Now, they say in this article that they're too big to fail, meaning the government is going to step in. They compare this to the Lehman collapse, right? We all know what happened in the Lehman collapse in this country, in America rather. And, you know, after that, you had the whole entire mortgage crisis got exposed. This is, obviously a real estate crisis, different from a mortgage crisis. This is dealing with them having so much debt and really building ahead of schedule. They thought, I don't know what they thought, people were going to maybe start moving to China, moving from their country to China. They have so much supply. I know they have a huge population, obviously, but it's insane. I mean, certainly the last 18 months, I don't think anybody is going to choose to move to China.
No, I think what was happening, though, too, leading up to this is that the Chinese were buying these units. So, like, they were living, like some of the Chinese, like, own multiple units that are built that, again, are still vacant. So it's like they kept building. None of it made sense to me. I don't even know. I'm actually surprised that it's been able to last this long, because I swear to you, this has been a topic of conversation since the Beijing Olympics. Like, I feel like I've heard about this forever. So it's really no surprise. It's, in my mind, no surprise, but.
So the share price plunged nearly 80% so far this year. I think it went down again this Monday of this week. The global markets were going crazy, and a lot of it had to do with this uncertainty with the Evergrande debt. They own more than 1,300 real estate projects in over 280 cities in China. Its property services management arm is involved in nearly 2,800 projects across more than 310 cities in China. And I mentioned all the different industries they're in. The firm says it has 200,000 employees, but indirectly it creates more than 3.8 million jobs every single year. So they are, their tentacles stretch all over.
The government was 100% supporting all of this too.
Yeah. So here's who will be affected. The pool of affected parties will be banks, suppliers, the home buyers who are protesting, and investors. In fact, investors went to the headquarters of Evergrande, and they were putting up some type of protest right at headquarters here recently. And so if they have to repay this debt, and right now home sales are falling rapidly, and they're expected to continue to fall in the fall season here, that it would lead to a situation of cross default where a default triggered in one situation may spread to other obligations, leading to a bigger problem. So we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see. And the reason why we bring it up here, it'll be interesting to see what impact this could have in the States, right? Is there going to be, if they don't get bailed out by the government, which it sounds like they're probably going to get bailed out because they're so big, but if they don't, and there is a huge collapse of the China economy, does that impact the economy here, which obviously then can trickle down into impacting housing? And, there's a lot of people saying, hey, well, there is going to be some type of global economic crisis, if we're not already going through one, that's bigger than any one before, right? We're not here to spread fear, but, if that happens in China, there probably will be, when the Lehman collapse, and they're comparing this to the Lehman collapse, and we went through the mortgage crisis, everybody on the globe was impacted by that, not just America.
For sure.
So definitely something to think about.
Well, it does say too here, because I know we mentioned obviously it's going to have an impact on the banks and the home buyers and investors. But again, they do bring up the fact that this will hurt suppliers too, because of all of the bills that aren't being paid. I mean, we're already in the middle of a supply crisis, so it will be interesting to see what happens if they're unable to pay these debts to the suppliers that are already so far behind already in delivering goods. So
good point.
It'll be across the board completely, it sounds like.
I believe there will be some supporting measures from the central government or even the central bank trying to bail out Evergrande. That's Dan Wang, an economist with the Hang Seng Bank. So there you go. They'll probably get bailed out. That'll have an impact on, China in one way or another, of course, but that is what's impacting the global stock markets right now. It's real estate related. It seems like this developer is a huge racket if they don't get their act together. All right, racket number 2, top Sarasota real estate agent. In fact, the number one real estate agent. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. 175 million in volume last year.
Not a bad year.
Sued in a $4.8 million transaction on Bird Key. So prominent Sarasota real estate agent Robert Pettingwell. Roger. What did I say? Robert?
I don't know, but
you're not even listening.
You didn't say Roger. That's for sure.
Roger
Pettingwell
that. And Coldwell Banker have been sued over a $4.8 million transaction on Bird Key by both. Listen to this. By both a potential buyer, so not the buyer that won the bid,
not the buyer that won,
potential buyer that was in the bidding war, and the property's seller. That's where I'm seeing like, there are red lights flashing. The property seller is also suing. If it was just a mad potential buyer,
right?
But you've got the seller involved. This is according to the lawsuits filed in Broward County. So Barry Cohen, who is the buyer who lost out on the property, he accuses Pettingwell, the agent, of manipulating the sellers into choosing a buyer Pettingwell also represented, so that he received both sides of the commission, which was a $4.6 million sale plus $200,000 in furniture, totaling the 4.8 number. Now, this buyer had an escalation clause all the way up to $5 million, so was beating this by $200,000.
Right.
Says in fact that he would have gone up to 5.3, but I don't know why he just didn't make that offer. But
and he also said that he was going to remove an inspection clause. But
he was going to do this, going to do that, but he didn't do any of that.
Right.
He submitted an offer that appears, according to this article which is in the Herald Tribune, which we'll link, of course. It appears that his offer was $5 million, so $200,000 better. Now Pettingwell says that the other offer, the winning offer, which he represented, dual agency, was cleaner. Mm-hmm. Okay, but it doesn't really get into exactly where the seller is. It sounds like the seller and that buyer met and they exchanged stories.
The buyer actually was so upset that he lost the bid. He drove to the home, which is at that point he was like, I'm willing to pay $5.3 million. And when we went to the home,
seller,
the seller was at the house. So
that
that point is when he met the seller. Mm-hmm. The seller said that the offer that they chose was the only one that was in writing. His agent had said that all of the others were verbal. The one that he accepted was the only one in writing. And obviously that's how now the seller is involved in this case as well.
So Pettingwell's been in business 35 years. He's never had a complaint or a lawsuit. So never had an ethics complaint, which is, a realtor thing. That's kind of just a, thing the realtor board came up with. And then the lawsuit, which is a real thing. Like that's how you can really get yourself into some hot water. It's interesting. The buyer that filed the lawsuit said he was going to do the ethics complaint as well as the lawsuit. But then the more he learned about the ethics complaint, he realized it was just a big racket and it was just going to be a waste of his time.
Yeah.
And so he's just like, I'll just do the real thing and file the lawsuit. So Pettingwell, never been sued, never had an ethics complaint, 35 years. Anybody can sue anybody. It's actually, I think that's pretty amazing. He's never been sued in 35 years. Obviously anybody can file a lawsuit. They're going to have to go through the court system and see what shakes out. I think he's in some hot water.
I agree.
Because the seller is also on this lawsuit. If it was an angry buyer, I think you'd be able, and the seller was saying, hey, I saw your offer.
Right. The seller is not saying that at all.
The seller's not saying that they saw the offer. So that's where things are going to get very difficult for Roger.
The thing that's super interesting here is that the buyer, the potential buyer is, is saying that this is a widespread danger, this dual agency situation, but he too was represented by a Coldwell Banker agent. So in my mind, they were both dual agency situations, but I do understand what he's saying because this individual was representing both parties directly, but I feel like he does need to be a little easy with his wording there too.
And they actually cited in the lawsuit that almost 30% of his transactions last year, he represented both sides.
Yeah. So
that's a pretty big number.
Can you imagine what's going to happen now? All those angry buyers are going to come out of the woodwork, or all the agents that are super jealous of like how much he's achieving. Like what's going to happen there?
22 of his transactions last year, he represented both sides, which was 29.1% of his deals. So, dual agency gone wrong. This is why there's bigger lawsuits in this country that talk about dual agency. People don't like it. In no other business across the country, we talked about this. Go check out the Real Word Confessional where we kind of get into this, but we're talking more about how the commission is being paid with the confessional we did with the CEO of Planomatic. You can go check that out. But this is along the same lines. In no other business when you're bringing a buyer and seller together, does someone represent both sides?
Right.
It's very unique. Obviously, agents get paid a lot more money when they represent both sides. They're keeping both sides of the commission, but there are reasons dual agency is illegal in a lot of states. This is the reason, right? I think when everything shakes out with this whole commission thing, there's going to be massive changes to dual agency. There's just been too many issues over the years. Now, some buyers want to go direct, right? They want to be
because I think they're going to get the best deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Or they want to be unrepresented, or they just get into this dual agency situation where they're represented by both sides because, to your point, they feel like they have more leverage on that agent to make a financial decision and potentially, get some of these other offers off of the table. What do you think, Nicole? I mean, just dual agency, do you think it's never going away, or do you think more issues like this will lead it to potentially?
I don't know. I can't imagine it honestly going away, to be honest. I mean, think about how many times sellers are like, well, if you bring the buyer, will you reduce my commission too? So there's also so many steps in between where, I mean, obviously the seller in this situation is suing because obviously he didn't get that, but we don't know in some situations where, maybe your deal was the purchase price was less, but did that agent cut their commission down by 1-2%, which then obviously made the deal potentially larger for that seller. So I don't see it going away. Again, obviously there's lots of disclosure now people have to sign. Are agents really disclosing and getting those things signed in the front end? Probably, maybe not in some situations, but I don't know how it doesn't go away, especially like you said, with buyers wanting to deal directly with the selling listing agent. I don't, but there's been enough talk about it that there obviously will be some sort of shakeup, but I don't know that eliminating it is going to be the way. But I don't know.
I personally really never enjoyed too many dual agent transactions.
Doing both, you mean you don't like doing both sides?
Do I like the commission check?
No,
sure.
no, I don't mean that. I mean, what was your point? Like, you don't enjoy them?
Yeah, I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy doing dual agent deals.
Too much work. It's too much work.
It is way more work.
Yeah.
You know, which is why you do keep both sides.
Keeping it fair and ethical, I guess is the better word, not fair. But I agree with you.
I like the idea of representing my side. Yeah. When you go super neutral, and obviously you fairness and everything to even when you're representing your side, you know, you've got to be ethical and all this kind of stuff. But I like really digging in and negotiating for one side. When you neutralize your ability to help educate the people that you're working with on the negotiation tactics, you can't do that. Even though the seller hired you first in a dual agency, you literally can't help them negotiate.
Right.
It's just it's counterintuitive to the way I think.
Agreed.
And so, this will be, figured out in the courts. Roger, 35-year career, bad news for Roger. The seller being involved seems like Roger could be a racket here. I'm sure he's a great guy, by the way. 35 years and top agent.
Well, he's doing $175 million. I mean, he's
a great agent. Maybe he's not a great guy, but he's a great agent. But,
he's not doing something wrong.
This one certainly has
feet.
Feet? It has feet?
It has feet. Yes. Yeah,
it's got question marks for
legs,
sure.
Right? Legs has legs. It has legs.
It's running somewhere.
The feet are attached to the legs. It has legs. Yes.
Running into. Hey, how amazing would that be? A reality show. Kevin O'Leary from the Shark Tank is doing this new show. Have you heard about this show?
No, I didn't even know that you watched television though.
Well, everybody knows the Shark Tank.
I understand, but keep going.
Shark Tank's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's doing a new show where a business dispute. Mm-hmm. They come on the show. These two people are in this this lawsuit or whatever.
Sort of like a Judge Judy type.
It's like a Judge Judy for business disputes, and he's
the judge.
The judge, Kevin O'Leary.
God,
how
that's
fantastic
ridiculous.
Is that? They should go on that show. That's coming out here, I think, this fall. So that'll be.
My.
They should do that. All real estate disputes should go on the Kevin O'Leary show. That would be, maybe we could start that show.
You and I are not Kevin O'Leary though.
No, he's my favorite shark.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Yeah. No, yeah.
All right, Nicole, here's your hand-selected Marketeer of the week from Realtor Magazine. Ultra white paint could cool homes better than air conditioning. Explain that to me. And why is this a Marketeer?
I think for all those that don't have AC. So there's a scientist at Purdue that has created the whitest paint in the world, and their research published in April shows that the ultra white color could drastically reduce or even eventually eliminate the need for air conditioning. Come on. You could save tens of thousands of dollars by
so you would market that. We're saving you money.
100%. If there's no air conditioning. Yes. Look, the white paint reflects 98% of the sunlight away from the building. It's even talking about painting a portion of your roof in this white paint, and it will eliminate.
White roofs.
They may be onto something here, but I think it's fantastic. I think it's certainly something to investigate, especially like me. Like, I'm never putting central air in my home. My rooms are way too small to begin with. To start running ductwork in my dirty basement and my really small attic. I mean, this would 100% be something that I would paint my house in order to market it, for sure.
You said you wanted to paint your house white anyway.
I do want to paint my house, but this
is the White House.
It will be the White House.
Are you going to get a sign? Call it the White House?
No.
For the white?
No.
The White family?
For the White family? No, it's not going to be the White House. That would be silly. What does a White House sign even look like?
You just make one.
In my lawn? Or
you love the word "the," so you could go "the."
I love the word "the," but I'm
White
posting
House.
it on under on my. I don't even have a mailbox.
You could do one of those like placards, they describe a town or something.
The
White House
family established
this, and then you could describe your white paint, your ultra white paint. Oh my God,
that's so funny. I already have a house on the side of my house because it was built. What is it? The Henry Mack house, 1875. So I already have a placard. So I guess I could do like a follow-up. Yeah. A follow-up underneath.
Now, this white paint's not available, right? It's not being
marketed.
It
doesn't sound like
anyone?
It's available yet. It still sounds like they're sort of looking into all of it, but I think it's fabulous. I love the idea of it. Okay. I don't know that I'd ever paint my roof white, but I'm loving the idea of eliminating central air altogether, right? I mean,
this guy, this scientist from Purdue,
yes,
might be the biggest racket I've ever heard.
Oh my God.
He might be the greatest marketer. I don't know about
He's created the whitest paint on record.
Yeah, he should get into sales. He should be a marketer selling this kind of crap.
I love it.
This is unbelievable. He should
go
do it. Who's your favorite? Who do we use for paint? And who are we using for paint in the investment property?
What do you mean? Who are like?
What brand?
I'm a Benmore lover.
Benmore. He should go sign a deal with Benmore, and
they should.
Market the heck out of that.
It could be what he's after. I mean, I feel like right now Benmore is the only one that has paint. Sherwin's really far behind. But
really?
Oh yeah. Again, talking about supply. I mean,
you have a white paint. Are we going white in the flip?
We are going white. Yeah, I'm a super white lover.
A super white.
It's called super white. Mm-hmm.
This is stark white.
Did they name it?
Well, it says the stark white paint works by reflecting that 98.1% of sunlight.
Maybe that isn't it. Yeah, no, I like super white. I'm a super white fan. I use it everywhere. It's all over our office too. That's my go-to. Super white.
All right, there you go. Marketeer of the week. Love to hear in your comments if that was just the biggest racket we've ever done in our. It wasn't in the racket category, but it certainly seems like one.
Well, we have 3 rackets, so there's an extra racket for it.
But by the way, if thumbs up or thumbs down in the comments. Don't give us a thumbs down on YouTube.
Never.
Don't be like that appraiser episode where we had all kinds of thumbs downs. But
you loved that. What are you talking about?
I enjoyed it. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
But in the comments, so you for or against dual agency? What's your thoughts on dual agency? Love your feedback there. Love for you to consider subscribing to this podcast on YouTube and sharing it with somebody who could benefit from the information. We do this every single week, and we'll see you guys next week with more.
See you guys.
Keep it real.